So teach us to number our days, that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom. Psalm 90, verse 12. Welcome to Lunch and Learn, where we have real conversations with real people for real impact. My name is Titilayo Olubajo, and I will be your host today. I have a very special guest in the room that I'm eager to introduce to you. But let's lean into our topic a little bit. Our topic today is School Choice 2026, making the right education decision for your child. I'm honored, delighted, thrilled to have Tumi Quadri in the room with us today to teach us how we can make the days count, even as we decide on the educational journey that's best suited for our children. But before I bring her up, let me tell you a little bit about her journey. She has over 30 years of experience enriching children's lives, strengthening families, shaping systems that support them. She's known as Miss Tumi, and she's a trusted voice in the field of parenting, early childhood education, leadership, and personal development. You know that when anyone puts 30 years into anything, it's beyond a career, it is now a calling. She founded Learning Tree Consult ParentingwithTumi, and recently Ofsted approved Tumi's learning and childcare services. She has devoted her life to equipping parents, educators, and children with the tools, wisdom, and confidence that they need to thrive. Her journey as an educator, parenting coach, solution-focused therapist, author, and leadership mentor has been shaped by both her academic training, hands-on experience that are deeply rooted in her unwavering faith. Her impressive credentials span social sciences, education, community studies, Montessori education, and I know some of us are interested in that, leadership and management, transformation coaching, Montessori accreditation, and an outstanding rating. She's also currently acquiring a professional certification as a child counselor, further deepening her commitment to supporting children's emotional well-being. We're so blessed to have her here. She has lived and worked across the United Kingdom, United States, and Nigeria. So she brings a rich global perspective to her work in early childhood education and parenting. She has graced many international platforms, both in Europe and Africa, passionately advocating for causes such as education of the girl child, the benefits of effective early childhood education, STEM in schools, and the future of education. She set up nursery schools for organizations both in London, Kenya, and Nigeria. Our excitement should be building up right now. God is good. I want to be blessed and lucky to have her on today. She's developed training, and where she developed her training, the trainers program for early years teaching in Nigeria. She's firmly rooted in her Christian faith. She serves as the head of global mentoring for Esther Separation Room, EPR Global, a leadership and support network for Christian women, where she nurtures and mentors women to rise in purpose and power. We serve in the same organization. Fun fact. She is also the host of the monthly prophetic parenting prayers, a faith-based prayer platform dedicated to covering parents and children in intentional prophetic intercession. So do not be surprised if prophetic giftings are showing up today. So whether she's guiding parents, seasoned educators, or inspiring future leaders, Ms. Tumi her work remains anchored in her mission to help families and schools create nurturing, structured, faith-filled environments where children are empowered to grow into resilient, compassionate, and purpose-driven individuals. Please join me. Please join me. That's 30 years of work, and she didn't even share everything. But please join me in bringing up Miss Tumi Quadri.
Hello, Titi. Hello, everyone.
Hats off. What our audience may not know is that many years ago, you also helped review my thesis, right? So I mean, our relationship has just kept growing and deepening. Honestly, I consider you a kingdom covenant partner. because we are in similar spaces. But of course, you're a fun runner. You're ahead of me, and I'm following closely behind. I'm inspired by all that you do. And on behalf of all of us, we say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank
So
you.
let's get right into it, shall we?
Yeah.
Welcome to our audience. Please take a moment to share the links. Share the links. We want everyone to be thoroughly blessed and enriched, empowered by today's conversation. So, Miss Tumike, or Miss, let's use Miss Tumi as people fondly call you.
Yeah.
School choice conversations like this are important because
Yes.
we've seen and I'll confess I've walked that journey as well, where sometimes the conversation becomes emotional,
Mm,
sometimes it's political, it's polarized oftentimes,
mm,
and there are assumptions. There are things that just because it's popular or it's a popular narrative on media space, parents
mm,
might often get misguided. So I'd like
mm,
us to start the conversation today by helping us understand what's some of the most common misconceptions about public, private, and homeschooling that that we commonly talk about, share, know, and can you briefly address each one of them? So, but while you're getting ready for your answer, I'll be inviting our audience as well to put in the chat what options they've already ruled out and why. So go ahead,
okay.
please tell us what those common misconceptions are.
Okay. Thank you very much, Titi. Thank you for having me here again. Yeah. So let's get right into it. I think one of the misconceptions when it comes to state schools, what you call, some call them in England, we call them state schools, public schools,
Mm,
is that children wouldn't get individual or personalized attention
attention.
because it's run by the state. It's so structured and so limited in what they can offer. And we know a big thing about the state system is because of resources and money. So the variety sometimes is not there.
Mm,
But we'll go deeper into that. Sometimes that's the case, but sometimes that's not the case because it depends on where you live. Sometimes your catchment area and all those things plays a very big factor
oh,
in those kind of
yeah.
things as well. Then looking into private education, it's like that's where you get everything from because I'm paying for this service, so I'm able to get everything I need for my child, for better learning styles, the quality of education, what they offer is the best option for my child. But we also know that even what we call private education or independent learning education has different levels. So what is the level of the private school you're taking, the value they're bringing to the table? Just because you're paying a fee doesn't mean that they're still going to give your child the best. So then you have to dive
Sure.
deeper into that as well. Then one big factor that people always go on about homeschooled children is that, oh, they wouldn't know how to socialize because
Mm,
they're at the setting, the home setting, maybe it's only a child and the parents or a child and a tutor. And with my experience with homeschooling children and being homeschooled children, it's like that's not the factor. You even find in most cases, I'm not saying that can't happen because homeschooling takes a lot out of you. You have to really structure it. But you find a lot of homeschool children that thrive, they're sociable, because you create different kind of patterns and activities for them so that they're socializing with their peers outside their home setting. Or people
mm,
come together, we'll talk more about that later, come together to homeschool their children as friends or as neighborhood neighbors or maybe church groups or whatever. So those are a few misconceptions you will hear people talk about, which sometimes they're only myths. They might not be necessarily true. Sometimes they are. It depends.
absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. One of the things you mentioned about private school system is,
Mm.
it's a paid service, so you assume your child is getting all that they need, but that
They
is
need.
such a big assumption. Just because it's a paid service does not necessarily mean that but we'll get into those kind of
Mm.
conversations right there. And
Yeah.
I'm sure our audience will also drop some of their, some myths or popular beliefs about each of those school system, so that
Yes.
we can learn what will be the best fit for the child. But you and I are both people of faith, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a number of our audience as well are also people of really, really strong faith and belief
Mm.
in God. We're not faith-based, we're faith-driven. We're
Mm.
faith-driven, right?
Mm.
So the next question leans in on our faith anchor, because there are scripture models. There are scripture
Mm-hmm.
models for both formal and informal education.
Okay.
I can think of being taught in the temple, more of a formal structure, and the
Yes.
informal one all over scripture, Deuteronomy 6, in the home setting,
Yes.
how children should be taught to be mentored. Even in the New Testament, we can see
Mm.
examples of Lois and Eunice, who
Yes. Yeah.
mentored
Mm.
Timothy. We might even, it might be, there's also various forms of apprenticeship.
Apprenticeship.
That's a
Yeah.
word in scripture. There are
Mm-hmm.
various models for tutoring, for education that is clearly described in scripture. I almost laugh at this also. I think of a form of long distance learning. When Paul
Yeah.
was in prison writing those letters,
That's,
it's long distance
yeah.
learning.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so we're not and no one should feel, if it's not a Christian private school, quote unquote, then I am
Mm.
not getting. I am. Sometimes we hold on to certain thinking. So I
Thinking. Yeah.
want you to also lean in a little bit. Is there a scriptural basis that supports public, private, or homeschooling options? Can we lean into that a little bit, and how should faith inform and not necessarily dictate or bind us
Mm-hmm.
to the decision we ought to take for our children?
Okay, thank you. I would say more what we found in the Bible is giving us principles we
Mm,
can use. So many principles we can use in educating or training our children. Like the most popular scripture we know in Proverbs that says, train up a child on the way it should go. So
mm,
my question to parents that are there or starting is, what does that train up a child mean to
mm.
you, to your
To
child
you.
as an
Mm,
individual?
mm,
Train up a child might mean I have a child that they might not thrive in a big setting. So they need a smaller unit of in a school. They might need to be at home, or they might need to be in a small private school, because some private schools are very large, or they might
mhm,
need a hybrid school where, if the government agrees, they can go to a state school for 3 days a week and being homeschooled for 2 days a week. We've not even talked about forest schools. There's some children that need to be in nature, and
mm,
they're going to get everything they need there. So that might be what your child needs. So there's so many dynamics on it. So that's when we're saying we're training up a child, we always have to look at, coming back to the background in education, what is the child telling us? What is the child saying indirectly about what they need? Because sometimes even children that are outspoken might not be able to articulate that. But because we keep observing and we keep praying as parents, the Lord leads us into how we train up our children. Then, as you said in Deuteronomy as well, it tells us how our everyday life should be about training our children in how to live their everyday life.
mhm,
So, what
mhm,
does that look like again? That's why I always throw back to parents. What does it look like to you? You need to be able to see it. It's when you see it, you are able to follow it and know the direction. Obviously, you put it in prayer, people of faith, you know the direction you're going to take. And because God has given us so much responsibilities as parents or guardians, as the adults in this relationship, really, we are the ones that will take decisions, especially when our children are younger. Even when our children are going to university or college, yes, they'll make decisions, but we guide them.
the
We
guide.
listen, we ask them, well, why do you think this college or this university is the best one for you? Okay, they offer X, Y, Z, but do you think you're going to thrive there? What are the things you've seen? What are the people that have been there? What are the statistics and everything? Then you come together and you make that decision together. So, and it's best looking at where will my child find the best fulfillment and thrive at the end of the day. You know what you want for your child. You know what you want for your child. You know what God has said to you about your child. So sometimes it might be I start this way, then you move. Some people start from a state school, then they feel, oh, this is not working, then they go into private education. Or, oh, this might not necessarily be working, then they go into homeschooling. So sometimes you don't even start the same way from the beginning to the end, because it's stages and phases and different things are happening in the child's life or in the family's life. Just like, remember, missionaries, now we have all these faith-based schools, but they started as missionary schools when missionaries were traveling all over the world, and their children had to get educated. And they started these schools there. Now, these schools are all over the place, where they have their own curriculum, they have their own syllabus, everything is written in any subject area, but you find the Bible in it. My child went to one of those schools, and it's an amazing thing. But it started from people moving around and say, how do we continue to educate our children, for them to still get the best as we're still doing the work of God? So my question is, how do I be the best parent God has created me to be for my child while I'm making all these decisions? What does it look like right now? And what are the things out there? And sometimes it might not be, the thing is not out there, but this might be the best option. And I have to now see how I can fight for it for my child. Just like I talked about hybrid learning. I spoke to a friend of mine recently. I said, I think your child needs a hybrid for a while. While you don't necessarily have to homeschool the child 5 days a week, but I think you have to have 2 days while he's with you, and you can have a structure of that homeschooling, but let him still be in the state system, and let's see how that works out for the time. And I think we're going to see something different in him. And sometimes those kind of things happen as well.
Thank you. Thank you for such a rich response. And one of the things that, we talked about yesterday, I had Annie in the room with me yesterday when we were talking about, a few things around identity is, hey, listen, we are meaning makers. When you talked about, what does train your child mean for you? As parents, as people, we are meaning makers. We are the ones that reframe, we shape, we make those observations. But sometimes those observations as meaning makers, meaning like MEANING, if we're not looking through the right lenses, we might misinterpret what we see. And then we might be offering solutions that may not be necessarily what the child needs. So that's such a powerful thought that you gave us right there. And then staying, and sometimes we get so, I don't know how many people feel this way, but sometimes their parents, once we've made a choice, we feel like we need to stick to that one choice all the way through. But you've just told us there are options. Maybe state school, you figure out that maybe I need to do private, maybe from private, maybe homeschool is what this child needs right now. So it almost sounds like it might be I don't even want to force us into a term, but maybe let's just use it. It might be a part-time period that you're asking yourself, asking the Lord, what does my child need next? It might not even be like, oh, I'm committing to an entire school year. It might be a part-time basis, depending on what is going on right now. And you spoke about advocacy, being able to advocate. No one single experience might all the options available might not be readily noticeable or accessible. Thank you. So that's where that advocacy comes in. So that's really that's a really powerful thought. And just knowing that there are options. You talked about forest system, hybrid, there are options. No situation is permanent. But I do want to sound a note of warning before we lead into the next question. Not really a warning, maybe more an encouragement. Sometimes we're looking for the path of least resistance. I'm so sorry to break it. It may not be that what it needs. Exactly. Anything worthwhile would cost us something. It will cost us something. It will cost us something. So let's just remove from our mind what is that? What's the easiest option, the most convenient option for me right now? If your child needs that big change, whatever needs to happen God willing, God providing. It should be, how can I make this happen?
Yes.
Who can I call? Who can I speak
Yeah.
with? And I know that we're also gonna, in the course of the conversation, we'll get really practical, and maybe we'll share some personal experiences,
Yes.
because 30 years of experience, we're gonna glean it from you, Matt. So, you talked about myths. We talked about
Yes.
scriptural basis, like for all those various options, there's scripture for everything. It's more about the principles.
Principles.
But let's dig a little bit deeper. Because parents will often ask, oh, what is the right school for my child? But really, the better question, which we have touched on earlier, is, hey, what is the right fit? What does that train up look like? Who are my team members? Where is the institution that's going to help me ensure that this outcome, this goal is achieved and attained? So can you help us discuss what are some of the key factors parents should consider when they're evaluating school options for their child in 2026? I know you mentioned knowing your child as one, but let's just dig a little bit deeper as to how do we see correctly? What are some of those key defining factors we need to put in mind as parents when we're thinking of public, private, homeschool, or whatever other option is out there?
Thank you. I think the first thing we need to consider is always look at things holistically. Because sometimes you found parents that they look at things with, as you said before, just one lens. My child is so academic, so I'm looking for the academic school, the school where we challenge, which is okay. What about the emotional needs, for instance? What about the values, the home values? Does that school portray that? Are they going to be aligned, with your values and their values? So we have to look at the holistic picture, and you're looking at your child's learning style. If going back to the academia, if your child is not so academic, but they go to music, for instance, where do we find that balance? Yes, I want my child to go to an academic school because in the future I want them to be able to, be on a certain level in life, but they have this natural talent in music, and they're doing very well. They're either playing an instrument. What does that school offer in that aspect? Not only I know we do so many private lessons and things for our children, but your children spend so many hours in school. Our children spend more hours in school than we see them, really, in a week, So what does that offer? How do I find a balance in that? Nothing is ever going to be absolute and complete, but there has to be a balance. How do I find the balance that my child is still getting what they need, and they're happy and they're nurtured from that? I talked about the emotional needs, the interests. Those interests they have, I don't want that to die because I want my child to go to this type of school. Then all those things that they've been doing, and this happens a lot when the child is going into high school. And they've been doing so many things in primary, and they've been thriving. Then all of a sudden, because you have to go to this kind of high school, we're getting rid of all those things. And that's still part of that child. It's as if they are burying something, and that can play a negative impact if we're not careful. So we need to find a school that's okay, there's a bit of this and there's a bit of that. Another thing I would consider is, I said, the culture of the school. That alignment is very important. Their values, their culture, their belief, does it align with our own values, our own belief, what we are bringing to the table? Do they respect our faith? Do they respect our heritage, our culture? Do they respect our family values? Or is it a school that just feels, no, this is what we bring, you understand? Especially this happens a lot in private schools. It's as if we've been going on so many type of years. We bring this to be stable, so you just either take it or leave it. It's about us and not about you. You have to come to that factor, that are they able to deliver? Are they able to respect my home, my values? I know that there will be some things that we have to balance up, but there has to be something that still aligns from both sides of the coin. And another thing we have to really be thinking about, whether we like it or not, is technology. What does that look like in schools right now? Because we're living in a world of technology. We're living in a world, we're hearing AI everywhere. Our children, how do they balance that? How is my child getting what they need? So by the time they come out of school, they're ready for this world they're living in, because it's their world. But how do they balance the safety? How they balance the safety? How do they balance the citizenship in technology as well? How do they look at other people, the values of others as well? Pastoral care is another thing. That safety is so important. Safety in technology and learning. Because sometimes it's been abused, it's been neglected. So it's not about where would my child learn, but it's about where will my child thrive. And thriving is such a powerful word, because if a child is in the school that understands that child, you will see the difference in the child thriving in so many areas. I've seen it in so many children where they've moved from one school to the other and they just become, you just see a different child completely, because they've been in a place where there hasn't been enough understanding about their needs. Or sometimes, you can say, oh, look, you're just going to go to the school down the road. I don't have time to be driving so miles to another school. Look, and it can't work. Or look, your brother went there, your sister went there, so you two go there. That might not be the school for your child.
No.
So I know it's a lot on parents, but our children might not go to the same schools. Because we have 3 children, 3 completely different human beings. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
It doesn't work, yeah.
So we have to always think about all that as well. Yeah.
No, that's so true, because one way or the other you're gonna pay. Either you invest now, or you invest the time later on. God forbid, when we're now dealing with big issues, or you're realizing that, because I interact with children quite a bit, and some of them I'm surprised. I'm like, what's going on here? 9 to 10-year-olds, and how is it that we went through school and we can't properly write? How is it's happening? It's happening. So a lot that you said, I love the fact that you use the word holistic. We need to look at the whole picture. And you were mentioning one thing. You may not have everything in one particular school, so then we supplement. Honestly, I can't tell you, I have so many people teaching, helping me out, helping my husband and I with our kids. We create home curriculum for them. There's certain things we want them to learn. I'm creating playlists that they can listen to. They have mentors that they work. We mentor them ourselves, but they also have mentors that they work with. And then they're in school, they're in church. There's so many things that are supplementing this one school environment. We've not found one place that has everything. But you said something that is also key, that all parents, educators that listen to us here needs to go home with, is that you want to at least find a place where they understand your child. Even if they can say, your child needs this, we don't offer it here, but they can point you to some program. They understand your child's needs, and they are creative enough, willing enough to go outside the box to get that done. You mentioned respect. Oh my God. Because you don't know that you just shattered something right now, because we feel confined, even though we feel like that the children's needs are not met, because we feel like somebody needs to share the same values with you in order to respect them. You know what I mean? They don't necessarily need to, because sometimes we feel like they have to be in a private school. Someone was testifying the biggest bullying incident he ever had in his life was in a Christian private school, where he was called all sorts of things. He would be thrown into the trash can. It was so many things. You understand? So sometimes we feel like, oh, because we are faith-based, they ought to be in a Christian setting. And this is not against Christian schools at all. Hear us correctly. But understand, when we talk about people respecting or sharing the same values, that respect is a big deal as well. Do they respect the culture? Do they respect your faith, or are they teaching against it? Do they respect your values, or are they teaching against it? That respect needs to be visible, clear, and felt by all, so that you're even comfortable even talking about your faith and your belief system, and not be worried that there's going to be some kind of a negative issue that comes out of it. You mentioned safety. I must share this very quickly on safety and technology use, even in the school setting. So I had an experience one time where just all of it, I was like, where my son was talking about, because like I said, we always vet whatever it is that they are watching. Was talking about a particular cartoon that we don't watch at home, and we do not go anywhere. So where are you getting this? So finally, we found out that during the lunch break, they would play whatever that cartoon for the children to at least watch. So it's important to know how technology is used in school. So it's not all about learning, but that's even okay. My issue now with the cartoon use is because it's played through YouTube, and sometimes adverts come up. You're not using a paid account, right? So adverts will come up and you have no control whatsoever of what would be shown to the children. And they pick up so many things from those 30 seconds advert, because sometimes you can't even skip. You have to go through the entire thing. Yeah. So safety, we must know how things work and advocate for proper technology use. So let's I don't know. Let's lead in a little bit more. We're going there all the way. I hope this is helping. If it's helping, please drop a fire emoji in the chat. Please say yes, it's resonating. Let us know how this is having an impact on you. So here's the deal. We talked a lot about homeschool, public school, private school, but how does the approach to education differ when it comes to curriculum flexibility and meeting the individual needs of the child? And I want us to be as practical as well as possible, both on public, private, and also homeschooling, and even hybrid. How do their approaches differ in terms of curriculum flexibility and again recognizing the needs of the child?
Okay, so with public schools, as we know, state schools, they're very structured, because it's set, curriculum is set by the government, and it's because it's not for one, it's for the whole country, it's for the whole nation, so there has to be a structure in place. They can't be so flexible or so adaptable, though they might review things and try and adapt, but you find out that you can't have that flexibility because of the structure that is involved. But they bring in a stronger curriculum sometimes, because a lot of research has gone into things, a lot of time, funding has gone into things. If we and sometimes because they're always reviewing as well, you will find that things are improving. Might not be the way we want it to improve or how fast we want it to improve, but sometimes you do see some improvement in some areas and not the other areas. So I think that's the big thing about state schools, government schools, because they have the structure, they have the resources, they have the money, but maybe the flexibility is not so there because they can't be changing things all the time. And they have to have a pilot system. And also when they throw things out there, they have to have maybe 5 years or more to be able to do that research and see all the results and say, okay, how has it worked? How has it not worked? Why has it not worked? Which one has worked better and things like that. And because we live in a world where so many things are evolving all the time, so we're still trying to test one thing, then they bring in another thing. That's another thing about the state system. We're still saying, okay, we're still trying to get used to one thing. They say, oh, no, we're not doing like that anymore. We're doing it like this. Then we're changing. Then you go back to the drawing board. Then, all that. So sometimes that can be so confusing, not only for the educators, but even for the children and families as well. So I think that's what I would say about the state system. But in the private system, because you are allowed to build your own curriculum, still use part of the state system's curriculum, but you can expand on that.
Yes,
you have the money, the resources, to be able to improve in personalized and individual structure for most children, looking into the learning styles of the children, looking into how we bring even a support system into the classroom. Even like in a state school, you might have a teacher and 30 children and maybe one assistant, and you might have of those 30 children, 10 might have educational needs, 5 might have behavioral needs, another 5 might have English as a second language, another one might be a child that wants to be outside. And so can you just imagine what is happening in that one classroom? So now you don't have one teacher and maybe one assistant, and maybe just one assistant that comes to sit with another child for 1 hour, and she can't do anything to help the teacher. So sometimes you just find out that things are not balanced because children are not getting what they need. So you find out what percentage of the children are really getting that holistic learning. And it's not the teacher's fault. It now goes back to this funding we were talking about. And because the structure has been set in this certain way, there's nothing we can do about it. But we find out in the private school, number one, the numbers are reduced in the classroom. Yes. Some have 20, some have 10, some have 15. It depends on the school. And even with that, you can have 2 assistants even or more. Parents can even pay for an assistant to be coming into the school for their own child if there is a special need. I've worked in a private nursery years ago in the reception class. Kidding you not, we were 6 qualified teachers.
Wow.
6 qualified teachers, 6, and 2 assistants, I think. And 2 used to come again for lunchtime because of the value of money parents were paying.
Wow.
So that means a child only had, a teacher had maybe just 3 children that you really focused on. So how would those children not get the best out of their education? How? Nothing is going to be missing. So that's what the private school system, then you can integrate things in the private school as well. You've talked about faith-based schools. You're able to integrate that, in the private system. No, we're knowing that there's a lot of fights and attacks with faith-based schools nowadays because of the government, is putting so much into wanting them to do some things and everything. But you are able to integrate things, you are able to integrate values, you are able to listen to the parents and your families and say, okay, let's come together and make this work in a certain way. So there's more personalized attention for children. Then homeschooling, I'm an advocate for homeschooling if you're able to do it properly. Yes. Homeschooling can be so customized for the child. Let no man think homeschooling is easy. It's not easy. You need to be disciplined. You need to be so focused in able to homeschool a child successfully. Even if you're paying for people to come in and do it for you, you still need to have a very good structure behind it. But it can be so customized. You can develop your own curriculum around what is out there. You can do so many things with your child. They can learn from outside. You can go to a museum and that can be a learning day where you're doing history and they're seeing it, they're practicalizing it. They can come and write about it where you're putting literacy into it. Everyday life, what they're doing with you, that what we talked about, Deuteronomy, they're doing it in homeschooling because they're living the everyday life. But as a parent or the teacher, you know what they're getting out of it. That's what we call thematic learning sometimes, because there's a theme around it and you're creating all those structures for them to be able to learn effectively as well. So those are the difference in those 3 areas.
Yeah. And I think I remember when you landed on homeschooling, a number of them end up even taking college credits and graduating earlier. They're the ones that you hear, hey. So I'm blanking out on the name of one that was on the news recently. But yeah, those are all valid options is the word I was looking for. All valid options. But again, what is the Lord saying to you concerning your child? And honestly, I know you mentioned homeschooling is hard. Any schooling done right is hard.
It's hard.
Any schooling done right is hard. And I'm hoping that one of these days we'll have you back again to talk, to really go, talk about other things that would be helpful and beneficial for parents as well when it
Mm,
comes to education decision. But this is really great. So
mm,
we've talked already about technology, but I want us to
mm,
think about, talk a little bit more from a different angle, because really technology has really changed what we know as schooling. I was
mm,
in a meeting earlier in the day, and there was a professor on the call from a Polish university, and he teaches a particular course, and I guess AI is having a bit more frustration with the AI, because these kids are young, they learn all the new softwares and systems very quickly.
mhm,
So
very
even
quickly,
when
yeah.
giving yeah even when they're given assignments, and they turn it in, it's like everybody's turning the exact same thing because they're used. So there's a bit of frustration too. As helpful as the tool is, there is concern that, hey, this is causing some form of digital dependency,
Mm,
the over dependency, and there's I think the word that was used was maybe even digital dementia. So there's a bit of
yes, yes.
memory loss, because every time you are fully relying on technology to think for you, to do for you,
Mm,
to learn for you, then who are you? What do you know? How
mhm,
are you able to apply? But anyways, what role does technology play in shaping school choice decisions in 2026? You mentioned hybrid earlier. What other ways are you seeing technology play? Maybe even from the aspect of supplementing some of the things that we do not have access to. We can't, well, we've advocated for, we don't have it in the current school structure. But where do you see technology really, really taking off for as a supportive tool for parents in 2026?
thank you. I guess as you said, we're at a place where we can't, it's something we can't do without, but we need to find a balance, a safe balance.
Right.
It's a driving force now, whether we like it or not. So I first, just going back to that safety and boundaries is very important. Boundaries and safety at home, boundaries and safety in school. Schools
Mm,
need to have a very, very strong and effective system, guideline of how technology is used. But there's something we call partnership, parents and school partnership. I think that has to be a bit stronger, especially when it comes to this technology. Are parents just leaving their children to just go on all these devices and tools and not really supervising? The
mm,
question is, what are, because sometimes schools are sending you all this information. They're telling you this is the way to do it, this is structure you should have, XYZ, these are the type of sites your children should go on to. But sometimes, some parents do follow those, some don't, and we have to be real about those things. And that's where you will find that, you ask your child, oh, have you done your homework? Yes. Not have you done your homework, let me see it.
yeah.
What is it about? Show me, read it to me. So,
Mm,
oh, you are here, have you done your homework? Yes. As you said, if that child just went on AI and just whatever and copy, you wouldn't know.
no.
You wouldn't know other things they're searching. Then there has to be a central point in the safety in the home and the school where they go on anything, it pops up on your own devices and things. If you're going to pay that extra fee to have that safety, that protection, it's
Yeah.
very, very important. And the
Mm-hmm.
school systems too have to do that. Because we found out, as you said, sometimes it's in school, a lot of children get to know, because you find out children even talk to each other. Your child
Yes.
might be innocent, and the next child is coming to say, oh, have you been on this so site before? That's happened. You can do this, you can do that. Then trouble starts. So if you are not a parent that is vigilant,
Mm-hmm.
you're just saying, oh, you can have 30 minutes screen time, but you don't even know the sites they're going on to. You haven't blocked anything. You're not seeing the history. You're not using, we have homes where when your child are younger, everybody uses one central
One.
laptop or
Yeah.
device or whatever, so that we
Yeah.
can trace all these things. We're really living in a world where it's not the way we grew up. So we need
When
to
we grow
sit
up,
up
you have to really work hard to get into trouble.
to get,
Find it.
yes, but it's easy to watch too.
It's easy.
So it's a very thoughtful. Where we are living in a world where we have to be very thoughtful about boundaries, very, very thoughtful about boundaries. Digital citizenship and safety is very important. Don't be scared to ask your schools, what are those things you put in place? How does it work? Show me. What are the devices? What are the companies? That you subscribe from? What are they about? What are their values? It looks as if you're overdoing things, but believe me, you're not overdoing anything. When your instincts are telling you things, work on that instincts, follow your instincts and everything. Then, because we're in an era where everything, mental well-being, we want safety for the well-being of our children. And once, it's like a seed that is planted.
Right.
Once you allow it to fall on that soil, it takes Jesus coming down to help you. So I'm not saying that our children are not going to go to stop. There's no amount of way we can guide them and protect them. Some things are still going to happen. But
Yeah.
because by the grace of God, we've managed, and through the help of the Holy Spirit, to give them tools that they need when situations happen, we trust that they will be okay, with guidance. They'll be okay with us supporting them when those situations happen as well. So those are, I was going to say, the well-being, it comes back to the well-being of the child. What does that look like for you? And how do you find that it's properly taken care of in the school system? Because we can't run away from this technology,
No, we
but
can't.
we can safeguard, continue to safeguard, continue to review things. I really hate it when I just see, especially under fives or even children older, that they're just holding a mobile phone, and and you have parents, oh, they're so good, they're able to navigate everything. I'm like, what are you talking about?
No.
Number
No.
one, you're even frying the brain, because there's a limit to it. You're just frying the brain. The child is just overstimulated,
Yeah.
overstimulated on screen, no boundaries on screen time. Now, I was still saying someone, I said, when my child was younger, he didn't watch TV Monday to Friday. And who's watching? So,
Oh,
what did you do? I did so many things were in place. Some things, it took a lot out of me. But even over the weekends, there was time. And I would sit down there. And that's why I knew a lot of shows and everything. Because I would sit down there, I would screen it before I do it. It's work.
it is. It is. But it's good work.
It's
It's
good work.
worthwhile work. It's worthwhile
Yeah.
work. It's
Yes.
worthwhile work. And something funny, even when you ask the school for the safety plan, sometimes they might not even have one, honestly.
No.
They might not
No.
have one, especially in the public school system where there's
Mm.
lots of kids. There's so many things going on at once. They just get devices from the states, and don't assume anything. That would probably be my what I would
Yes.
share. And you've leaned
Yes.
into it a lot. Don't assume nothing. Even if you read, even there was an agreement, blah blah blah. Go and test out and ensure that it works, because
Yes.
all it takes is just a crack in the system, just a
Yes.
crack in the system, like you shared
Yeah.
earlier, and being able to be agile.
Mm.
Let's not let things just sit. I loved what you said. Have you done your homework? Sure, let me see it. It's not a trust issue. It's
Mhm.
it's it's supervision. It's the right
Yes.
thing to do. To,
Mhm.
to say that, okay, you've said something, that you're going to do something, and let's see what you
Mm.
did, how
Mhm.
you did it. I want to learn from you. Teach
Yeah.
back, teach it
Yeah.
back to me. And one of the things that was mentioned was, hey, reminding the children again what the reason why you are in school.
Mm.
Because sometimes I think that I have to remind them again, like, the reason why we're in school, is to do this. I don't know how much we can really go into
Mhm.
on the call, but just because you're getting good grades in a setting, I tell them this: your good grade It's just based on the exam that has been set for you.
Yes.
It's based on the quality of the questions that were created,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and sometimes schools are incentivized to pass a child.
Yes.
They have to get them going. We want funding. We don't want to be shut
Mm-hmm.
down. We have to get them
Mm-hmm.
moving somewhere or the other.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing we've noticed here is you might find a child who maybe they're A students in certain school districts. Again, the way America is, zoning and limitations, etc. Well resourced neighborhoods where they're paying higher property taxes,
Yes.
more resources are in the school, right? While lower resourced areas, there are other things that you can file for to get more resources, but typically, there are limitations. Let me just put it that way. But in order to keep getting those fundings, they have to pass those children. So you're in one particular geographical location and you're getting A's, and you move to another geographical location, not a specialized school system, they're not advanced classes, but your grade is completely different. Yeah, because hey, the way, even though there's a set curriculum approved by the state, the manner with which things are tested and graded might vary. So I tell them this: study for mastery.
Yes.
Study for mastery. Don't go beyond 20 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. Accumulate, it adds up to something.
Yeah.
So reminding them the purpose for which you're studying, the purpose for which you're going to school in the first place. And it's not pressure, it's just do your best. If you can comfortably, honestly tell yourself, I did my best, I'm happy with you. But if it's more so, hey, you could have done it too better, then we have to explore what the options are. But absolutely, there's a lot of work for us to do. Technology is great. Technology is wonderful. There are good uses for it, but we need to just ensure that safety, that supervision, and it's not about money. It's really not about money at all. Far from it. There's so much that we can do that does not cost so much out of our children. So I want to ask this question as we begin to wrap up our conversation. And if our audience have any questions, again, we have a woman who has 30 plus experience in this field. So please ask your questions and we'll get to how you can follow up with her and learn some of the things that she is doing in a little bit. But I want to ask this question: how involved should a child be, right, when we're talking about school choice? Of course, it depends on the age and maturity.
Ages, yes.
Yeah, but how involved should a child be in the school choice decision making process?
Yeah, thanks. I think, as you said, there are different levels, different ages and different levels and maturity. But I think a child at any level can be involved. You want to find a kindergarten, a nursery school for your child. You take them for the visit. You let them explore. A 3-year-old can tell you, oh, I like it, I was happy, that kind of thing. Can tell you things they saw that they engaged. Because when you're watching and you're observing, you see how your child took to the environment. Okay, sometimes children are shy, but you will still know that it feels, oh, there's something. Then you answer. There's so many questions you can ask and answer. They can answer so that you know that, okay, is this the right place? But take your child, if from toddler stage, let them just have a discovery feel of the place. For younger children that's maybe 5 and above, they can go as well. And you can ask them those questions. How did you feel? Were you comfortable? What did you like best? What did you think about? Just tell me how you felt. And for all older children, they can go in, teens, pre-teens, they can ask questions. Tell them to have a few questions. Think about a few questions, what they would like in the school. So when they get there, they can ask those questions as well. Do you do this or that? How do you do it? Or why do you do it that way? If they do something and they don't do it the way the child taught, this is how we build their confidence. Why do you do it that way? Oh, that's interesting. So that makes a child feel, okay, I think this place might be the place I can belong. This place might be the right place to me. Obviously, we parents make the final decision because, we have more, but, we listen. We consider what they've said. We've considered what we've seen, their reactions and everything. And obviously, when it's to do with college, we guide through those processes when they're making all those choices, why they're making those choices, not just because a child wants to leave home and run off
I
to
know.
a
Just
state.
go across states. If we
you
can leave
know
the country so as far away from home as possible, that
yeah.
is not good decision
No,
making.
no, that's
That
not,
is not good.
so
Yeah.
we're still guiding. Then,
Yeah.
we come to a decision together. Parents are there to guide, but the way you guide at different stages and levels is so different. But we have wisdom.
Yes.
Never feel you don't have wisdom. You've lived a life.
Mm.
You are a parent. You raise this child to a certain level. Yeah, you continue to raise the child. You have wisdom. You have knowledge. You have the perspective. Use it. Use
Yeah.
it. Then for us that were faith based, we put things in prayer, and God speaks. It guides. So that's what I would just say about
Oh,
that. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. And we forget that we're spirit beings as well.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, the child, I was watching a video, and the lady was talking about how she was training her children in spiritual warfare. Is whenever she senses something, I think they were going past at a local fair, they walked past one of the tents, and she was sensing some kind of a negative energy. These people are calling it vibes now. They are playing with spiritual things. I don't understand. You people are so prophetic. You're just making calling it vibes. No, honestly, but let me just leave that. So she was sensing energy, right?
Mm,
And then she walked past, and then behind there was a woman at the desk
mm,
with a crystal ball, the soothsayers, and tarot card readers and all
mm,
those things. It was like, oh, interesting. So she then asked, she was with her grandchildren, like she asked her grandchildren, okay, walk by here, tell me what you're feeling, in your belly, in your heart.
mm,
Tell me any kind of sensation that you're getting as we walk through these places. So she was essentially training them to look beyond what they see, hear beyond what is audible, just to know that there is this spirit realm, right? So when you talked about having the children go in there, and even without before words and language, there is psychologically the separation anxiety, there's that
okay.
piece. But when a child is there and they are like, there's just something off, even at the preschool level, they are
Yes.
just screaming and yelling,
Yeah.
and there's just
Mm,
something off. Pay attention to that as well. They are spirit beings. Maybe they're picking up on something. And for those
mm,
already articulating as well, if they have been trained and we are validating what they are feeling on the inside,
mm,
that is, you're not making things up. It's not
mm.
whatever. If you're sensing something, I'm sure, or even humor them. I've heard
Yes.
stories of children have said, okay, mommy, let's not go this way today. Let's go
Yes, go that
another.
way.
And then something happened
Mhm.
you know so we encourage them to even lean in on their spiritual senses, learn to hear
Mm,
the voice of the Lord, because they are also a big part in that decision
mm,
making process. And I wish I'd even learned this even sooner, but it's something that we're starting to put into practice
mm.
as well, because they have to be trained for spiritual warfare.
They have to.
We, we are in interesting times.
Mm,
So I always ask all of my guests, this is my favorite,
mm,
favorite question. I ask every single guest. I just wrote a book on, it centers on an orphan. It's called The Archer and the Key, The Search. It
mhm,
centers on an orphan's journey to finding identity. And I want to
mm,
tell you, identity is probably one of the biggest battles and fight any parents or even children would have to go through. Yesterday, we were talking about 1 million searches on Google asking,
mm,
who am I?
mm.
Perhaps, it's such a big, big, big deal. And one of the
It
reasons why I
is.
wrote the book is available on Amazon. And if you want physical copies, want to buy in bulk, please go ahead and reach out to me. I prefer that way. I like physical copy, honestly, than
Mhm.
maybe the electronic copies. But
Yeah.
one of the good things about storytelling is because you can safely test ideas in
Yes.
story form. You can live the character's life in how many pages, and
Yeah.
question the decision making, and also figure out things, have questions. You can stretch. It might be one Bible story, you can stretch. How many times I've been talking
Yeah.
about the birth of Jesus, how many years now, but you keep
Yes.
finding new light. You
New
can
things.
stretch
Yes.
stories as far as possible. So that's one of the reasons
Mm,
why I wrote that book. But I want to hear your own story because I asked this question like, what story would you tell your 13-year-old self to prepare her for the life that you're living today? What story would you tell your 13-year-old self? Let's hear it.
Mm. Oh wow, 13. That's an interesting age. Eh, eh, I remember being 13 because I remember my brother sending me. It was here in the UK in school, and sending me like a 13th birthday card. I can't remember what he wrote in it, but there was something special about that. And I think when I was 13, you were talking about this identity. I think I had that. I really didn't know who I was.
Mm,
I really didn't. I was just moving with the flow. I was just one of those, not, I wasn't doing anything wrong, but I was just moving with the flow. And I think thinking of that and thinking of where I'm at now, I think the first thing I would say to her is be patient with your becoming,
mm,
in the sense that sometimes you have thoughts in your head, you don't even know where they're coming from. And sometimes you might not be strong enough or confident enough to share those thoughts or ideas, or you even think that they're silly because you're
mm.
seeing other people that it looks as if they're confident, they know what they're doing. The best girl doing this, the girl with the long hair, the girl with the this, the
The
girl so
prettiest
academic
girl,
and
the most
everything.
popular girl.
And yes, and you find out that where do I fit in all this? Because I'm a middle child, and I'm always saying that I went through middle child syndrome. I'm not the
Mm,
first child. I'm not the last child. I'm not the only girl. I'm not the this. So I think the way I kind of put things in my mind and grew up was so very different because I had to be seen. So I had to be good. And that
mm.
comes with the cost
To
if
be
you always have to
seen.
be good.
Mm.
It
You have
comes
to
with the
be
cost
good to be
because
seen.
to
You
be
have to be
seen.
good to
That's
be
it.
seen. Okay.
Yes. But you find out that God just delivered me about this maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I'm telling you.
Mm,
It affected my life in so many ways, but I didn't really realize it until God sat me down and broke it down, and I went to therapy with it. There's so many things I've allowed. It's just, Shumika, just continue to be. Don't give anybody any trouble. Just continue to just be a good
mm,
child, so that at least you're seen. You're not the one that they say did this or did that and everything. So be patient in your discovery. Means just discover you. Ask yourself those bold questions and find answers, no matter what it looks like. What? Why do I need to be this way? Why am I this way? Why do I feel this way? Where did that come from? Be more curious, in your becoming, not negativity curious, curious to be better, and I would say don't you don't have to be someone else. Because sometimes, at that age, we feel we have to be someone else. They have to see that I have the nicer things, or I'm doing. You don't have to be someone else.
no.
Just be you. And I know that can be hard when you're that age.
Yeah, because like
How
who
will
is
I be
me? Who am I?
accepted? Yes. How will I be accepted? Look at them, because we just see through one lens that everybody seems better than us. Everybody looks better
Comparison
than
trap.
me and whatever. But you're beautiful the way you are. You're
Mm,
fantastic. You have everything. That's what we don't know. They say a child, by the time they're in their early childhood, finishing between 5 and 7, they have everything they need for life if we create that space for them.
environment for them
So
to
at
thrive.
13, okay, you're just building on things, but you have that grounded foundation. If all parents, education, community has done the right thing, and your strength is becoming. We have this strength. I didn't know I had strength until later in life.
Mm,
And I scared myself when I saw the kind of strength I had, because it was so suppressed. So
yeah.
that made me so timid earlier when I was younger. But I didn't know that there is those things that I had was actually the strength that would help me through life.
True life.
So now when I see myself, I'm like, whoa. So there's so many things I could have achieved a lot better if I realized that this was quite a strength. It's not something I should hide under,
Right.
yeah. So be patient in your becoming. Just embrace it.
I love it. I
Embrace
love
it.
it. I love
Yeah.
it. It's almost like a recurring thing. Becoming,
Yeah.
becoming, becoming. That was yesterday as well. We're
Mhm.
looking at becoming the process between raw rice and smoky jollof. It's the process.
That's
It's a
true.
becoming.
That's true. It is.
Oh my God. So this
Okay.
was, I've thoroughly enjoyed our conversation
Thank
together.
you.
How can our audience connect with you? You are doing so many amazing things. Right there on the QR code, you can get a copy of our book. She's going to talk about it herself. But let
Yeah.
us know what you're doing, what you're up to, how we can get a hold of, how we can stalk you, how? Tell us.
I like how you can stalk me. Well, you can stalk me on social media through Instagram, Parenting with Tumi, and
Mhm.
on Facebook as well, and TikTok. You can stalk me on um, email info@parentingwithtumi.com.
Okay.
We're working on a website that is nearly finished, that is coming out. So everything will be in a central unit. And you can also, as Titi just mentioned, I just wrote my second book on parenting, but this one is the one that touches my heart a lot because it's been a journey. So it's a book about, it's called Raising Dough. And when you hear dough, you think, oh, baking. But it is about baking, but it's the art of parenting through the language of baking. So it's a metaphor where I speak about different baking skills and tools and what that looks like in parenting. And why I like the book is it comes with a lot of reflection. So with every chapter, you have a kitchen reflection. So you're actually seeing yourself in that process. Then it also has a workbook as well, where you can do practical things with you and your child, with yourself, with the community of parents together. So this year, I'm going to be in a lot of phases because there's so many things that's going to come out of this book, where we're going
Yes.
to have road trips, we're going to have bringing parents together. Then I also do a workshop called Begin Within, because in our parenting, we need to begin with ourselves.
Mhm.
So that workshop is going to go around as well, where we kind of come together and share what does it mean to be me, because it's about you before you now extend it to your child. It's what you have become, what you are. Then looking into more workshops for new parents, and also pre-parenting workshops. You're not
Yes.
even a parent yet, or you're
Yes.
just married, or you're pregnant and you've not even started that journey. What does that look like? What are the things that you need to think about and consider and put into place? So, but everything will be in the social media places and when the website comes alive. Yes. So,
We're here for it. We're here for
thank
all
you.
of it. And the QR
Thank you.
code is being displayed right now. So please do well to grab a copy, grab a copy or two. In fact, those of us that have people around us having babies and all that, this needs to be part of the baby gifts. Get
Yes.
that book.
Yeah.
Get
On
that
the book
book.
launch, I was overwhelmed. People were buying a lot of copies for Christmas for new
Yeah.
couples, and yeah, so yes, yes.
So yeah,
Thank
this is good.
God.
Wonderful, wonderful. I
Thank
am
you.
so excited. In fact, it's like we should just continue talking. But we
Thank
know that
you.
there is no perfect school. We just
Yes.
need to look at what is the right fit, make sure we have something aligned with our values. Even with the school choice as parents, we have to steward this season very, very carefully, making sure that our children are in the best environment where they can thrive. We said that
Yes.
very clearly,
Yes.
and can grow. So I am so, so grateful, super grateful for the time that we've shared together. Today we
Thank
had
you.
fun, we laughed, we learned, and I'm looking forward to the next time we have you back in the studio
Thank you.
so that we can
Thank
really
you.
go deeper in some of these very important conversations. So I want to wish everyone a very wonderful new year ahead. Take time to reflect, hang out with your children, spend time. Make sure you have a family vision for 2026 and bring your patient, your say patients, your children on board uh, to draft and craft something, because whatever is written down, we can definitely execute and we can clearly run with. With all my love from all of us at OTW LLC, to all the lunch and learners out there, have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful rest of your year. And we'll see in 2026 bigger, stronger, better. Take care.
Take care. Bye.